Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
Welcome to Hockenheim Ring Baden-Württemberg, or as most people would probably just know it, Hockenheim, for Club Day Masters here on SimSpeed TV. It's been a very exciting season, and I think one of the great changes they've made to Club Day Masters is making it a two-class format. So we do have our Audi RS3 LMS cars making up the TCR field, and of course the ever-exciting, pack-racing, buzzing Global Mazda MX-5s as well. Our typical race format tonight of two 30-minute races. They are qualifying right now. And for today's coverage, I'm David Haynes. I'm joined by Cam Dance. We've got Jay Kennedy producing. Cam, pretty new track to the iRacing service, but it has gotten a lot of action across a lot of leagues and official championships lately.
Yeah, it certainly has. It's one of the newer tracks that we've seen come to iRacing, and I think it's been one that's been waited for and requested so often to finally get this track. And unfortunately, we don't quite have the old outer layout, but nevertheless, the Grand Prix will sufficient. It's certainly a very, very nice track, and one that seems to have produced some really, really good racing from what officials and leagues have shown.
Yeah, certainly. Let's take another look then, a closer look at this modern Hockenheim Ring layout. It's, of course, in Germany. Look at that, a little bit south of Frankfurt. Big international airport, so not too hard to get here then, hopefully. Zurich in Switzerland, further to the south. But of course, we are nestled in the forest, near the motorway, near the town of Hockenheim. And you can just see the old layout going further into the forest, but the modern Grand Prix layout maintains the pit straight, maintains that run down towards turn 2, then you've got the huge, long straight along the back straight towards that big hairpin at turn number 6. But overtaking can happen lots of other places, like turn 8 at that Mercedes arena, and then through the old Sachs curve and the older arena closer to the pit straight there as well. Can be interesting as well.
Yeah, it certainly can. It's very, very technical in that final sector as well. So I imagine we're probably going to see a few people making some passes in that hairpin as well, right at the end of the straight is going to be one that's going to be a very big passing opportunity as well, with a lot of draft and opportunity to break late and just send one up the inside.
No doubt. As the field are out there, qualifying right now, they've got plenty of space to spread out and fan out on a Grand Prix layout. This is the championship standings. Jack Boyd, I think, managed to minusculely extend his championship lead last round over Jackson Rehana. Aaron Oliver and Angus Cook still in close company, and then the rest of the top 10 in that TCR division. It's Christopher Henn, Glenn Boyd, Lee Harrison, Matthew McMillan, Ivan Vantagiato, and Shannon McMillan. Both of them McMillan brothers in that top 10. Cam, have a look at the Mazda MX-5 class.
Yeah, and it's certainly very, very close. Very much in favour of Caleb Hydes at the moment. Has had a very, very nice run. And Sean Doyle's managed to move himself up the order as well. Dylan Burst falling down the order quite drastically over the last few rounds due to a few bad results. So it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to be able to do for the rest of the season. But that top spot is certainly still up for grabs with Sean Doyle and Nick Scarry in second and third, and then you go back to Lehman and Connors for round out the top 5 in the parity. So Buchanan, Burst, Sharp, and Fraser to round out that top 10 the MX-5 class.
There we have it. Both cars are out on track, qualifying right now. 10 minutes left. I think they're going to need that time for a big lap like this. Here's Angus Cook, currently top of the board by 7 thousandths of a second ahead of Aaron Oliver. So that's real mighty close. He only has 2 thousandths of a second ahead of Lee Harrison. So how do you like that? 9 thousandths of a second to separate our top 3 at the moment. Oh my goodness, look how close Byron Phillips and Jack Boyd are as well. That's looking mighty, mighty close in qualifying right now.
Extremely close. And it's under a tenth as well, just based on how close it is. Jack Boyd's just rocketed himself to the top of the time sheets. Aaron Oliver does the same and pips Jack Boyd. So time's coming in thick and fast, but it's very, very close in qualifying at the moment, especially between pretty much fourth on back.
I think that turn 1's a bit of a pinch point in qualifying. You love to throw it in there with a bit of speed, but if you clip the inside curb or you run out too wide, it's going to ruin your whole lap. Could be an off track. So that's one of the places to be really, really careful on a qualifying lap. The other one's a bit further around from where we were just looking at the Drop Bear Motorsports car. Coming into the old arena, the track goes from very wide to quite narrow on the exit.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Time in, yeah. There's a few places here where the width of the track varies greatly.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some areas where you can really get out on that AstroTurf, that final corner being one of them, where you can really extend out onto that AstroTurf, where you normally think you'd get an off track, but yeah, not so much.
Sean Doyle, second in championship at the minute. But where is he going to be for qualifying? The answer is, well, there's not much of an improvement there, and he remains 5th. And that is that apex curve I'm talking about at turn 1. Absolutely destroys it. Manages to carry on, though.
Yeah, it's very, very tempting to turn in a little bit earlier than you think, and if you hit that curve, you're going to go for a little bit of a wilder ride. It's not too bad in these MX-5s, the fact that they've got a little bit of suspension trouble, but nevertheless, you won't want to hit it too hard, and Anthony Connor's not registering a lap time there from an off-track, which is very easy to get in some corners, but nevertheless, he's going to continue on for another lap. Current provisional pole sitter, Aaron Oliver, coming across the line, and he's not going to improve. Just out by 2 tenths there, but stays at P1. No one else has improved yet by the looks of it.
I think a lot of them actually caught a bit of traffic on this lap. It was sort of a lap where they all negotiated their way around the MX-5 field. Now they'll have another another attempt, another clean run at it. And one of the places they can get an off track though as well is the exit of the hairpin. Very often it's easy to see someone run wide there, especially in these front wheel drive TCR cars.
Yeah, absolutely. And that second to last corner one, very tempting as well as Rumble with Scott Fountain. Fonzie having a go tonight. He's going to come across the line to set 1 minute 53.413. Puts himself P10 in the TCRs at the moment. Runs a little bit wide out of that first corner though. That's possibly going to have been an off track, but we'll see what happens.
He's had a strong coffee. Look at him soaring away at the wheel there. Look at those hands go through the corners. His hides, top of the table, using some of that banking through Sachs curve there. Always a good feeling when you are able to carry a lot of speed by just hooking a little bit of that banking. But if you miss it or you get in too hot and you slide out of that groove, it'll cost you big time. This, it's not going to be a lap. Is he just, going to go for a new set of tyres, practicing his pit entry? What's he doing there?
Probably a bit of both. Probably get a little bit of extra fuel if he needs it. Maybe step on some new tyres, do a bit of pit entry practice because they're obviously going to need to make sure that they're committed enough on the way in with the fact that they're going to have to make a pit stop in both races. So the last thing you want to be doing is speeding into the pit lane and getting yourself a large penalty. He's coming across the line is Greg Holmes, and he's not going to be registering a lap time there. Currently 6th in class, so not doing too bad for himself. Jack Boyd finishes a lap, but no improvement there on his current one.
No, I think the longer we've gone into this qualifying session, actually the tougher it's become with some of the traffic. We've got a Bitcoin car, in the Fast 9 for the Indy 500. So we've apparently got a Dogecoin car for Club Day Masters.
Yeah, Doge car driven by Dylan Burse. And that'd be another reason why he's fallen down the order, as well as the fact that he's moved to the TCR class. So we'll see what he's going to be able to do. Didn't register a lap time that time around. Adam Sharp, though, coming out of the final corner. What's he going to be able to do? Comes across the line and does not register a time. So that's going to be no improvement there from where he's sitting.
Personal best for Sam Lehman sends him to 3rd. Personal best for Nick Scariev sends him to 7th. So a lot of the MX-5s finding speed. It's TCR where it's a little bit more hit and miss with about 4.5 minutes left in the session, which equates to about 2 laps if you're someone like Byron Phillips just leaving pit lane now.
TCR's going to get 1 more lap, or 2 more laps, I should say. But MX-5's probably going to be struggling to do 2 more at this stage because Veen comes across the line and he is not going to improve, not going to be a counter lap either. Glenn Boyd not going to be a counter lap either. So those two are going to go again 1 more time.
This one's not going to count for Fonty either. Oh, that's a pit entry and a half. It's not even a pit entry.
Trying to just get out of the way of everybody, I think, was Greg Holmes there. Angus Cook comes across the line. No registered time there, so off track. A lot of drivers getting off tracks in these last dying minutes of the session. Caleb Hydes comes across the line and not going to be registered time either. So everybody's really pushing quite hard, and as a result, they're paying the price with the fact they're getting off tracks.
Certainly are. He's Lachlan Capel. That's the entry I'm talking about here, where every man and his dog wants to push wide onto that gravel, no matter what they're driving. We're carrying a lot of speed through that flick into this arena. The track really does seem to narrow on your way into this old part of the circuit.
Yeah, very, very tempting as well to try and keep your foot in it through turn 11, Mobile 1, before you come through this final sector. Very, very easy
Wide.
to run wide there, as Lachlan Capel demonstrates out of the final corner, and that's not going to be counted lap. Probably going to have hurt his run to the start of this lap as well. And Sean Doyle, Byron Phillips comes across the line. That's not going to be a counter lap. Glenn Boyd, though, what can he do? Coming through at the final sector now, has had a nice draft as well from a few cars in front of him, but they're probably going to be a little bit held up by Adam Sharp here, who's going to try and let them all by. We'll see what lap times are going to be, tipping 2 wheels off across the yellow line onto the drag strip there out of the final corner, and we'll see what time is going to be. Crosses the line and no reaches time. So I did think that was going to be an off track, and it clearly was by the looks of it.
Yeah, again, another place around here where you've got to be a little more careful with the track limits. With that, Matthew McMillan, one of just 2 drivers without a qualifying time in TCR at the moment. He's going to get maybe one more lap here. But that is now a time for 12th. Hopefully he can carry that forward onto another flying lap.
Yeah, hopefully he can, because he's might just miss it, but he might just make it. We'll have to see what's going to happen. Hides crosses the line and does improve on... No, he doesn't, sorry. He doesn't improve on his time, but does register a lap time at least. But he's still at P1 for the time at being. Dylan Bruce coming out of the final corner as well. Is he going to be able to improve and set a time here? He does, and moves himself up straight to P1 in the dying minutes.
Yeah, straight to the top. Again, a very small margin, 0.5 of a second in that for pole position. Well done, Dylan Burst. What's Byron Phillips going to do? He's looking like he's got a lot of free space around him, a lot of clear air here to do that. And I imagine is an off track that wide.
Yeah,
wrong side of the ripple strip.
I'm going to say that's definitely been an off track, and it certainly is with the fact that it's not a registered time. So his session is going to be over, and we'll have to start from at least 7th at the moment. Glenn Boyd, though, coming through the final sector once again. We'll see if he's going to be able to set a much better lap time this time around. No off track there and no traffic to deal with in the form of Adam Sharp either. So hopefully this is going to be a nice clean lap. Giato as well just in front of him. Is it going to set the time and stay at 9th? Drop to 10th, actually, because of the fact that Glenn Boyd's moved himself up to 7th.
Yeah, he might have picked up a bit of slipstream there. Might have just kept it clean. Decent lap for Glenn Boyd. Got Matthew McMillan and Jack Boyd. Might just run out of time, but I feel like Jack Boyd might have been held up a little bit through the final sector. Regardless, that is qualifying done. Your pole set is Dylan Burst in TCR. And let's take a look then, as we're all going to line up for our rolling start. We're doing a rolling start. Interesting. Okay. That's what we had at Daytona for very sensible reasons. We had been doing some standing starts at some other tracks. But regardless, Dylan Burst sharing the front row with Aaron Oliver. Behind them, championship leader Jack Boyd alongside Lee Harrison. Jackson Rehana and Angus Cook, it is Summit teammates for the third row. Behind them comes Glenn Boyd and Byron Phillips, Christopher Henn, Ivan Vantagiato. Fonty, there he is, alongside Shannon McMillan. And then the last of the TCR cars would look to be Matthew McMillan.
And you're going to have the MX-5s lining up just behind them. Caleb Hydes and Lachlan Cape are going to be on the front row of that class. And then you're going to have Sam Lehman, Brady Buchanan on the second row of the MX-5s. M Sharp rounds out the top 5. And then you have Sean Doyle, Nick Scarry, Greg Holmes, Anthony Connors, Scott Melvin, Philip Paradiso, and Hayden Jackson to round out the 25 car field.
There they all are. Beautiful Porsche safety car. Well, all of them except your pole sitter, who isn't on the grid just yet. And nope, there he is. So all our TCRs up front, all the MX-5s behind, and they sure do look like little itty-bitty cars behind the fender flares of an Audi RS3.
Yeah, they do look quite small actually compared to them when you look at it from a top-down view. They almost blend into the field actually if you look at it with the right angle too.
Okay, well, they're going to start rolling now. And our front row ready to leap into action. Just the short pace lap here before this 30-minute race gets underway. They are going to need to stop for fuel, and there is going to be a safety car. Typically means you want your fuel stop done before the safety car, but when is the safety car is the gamble. So we are going to have some pit strategy, as always, in Club Day Masters today. Pit entry is just to the right of our field, and the safety car goes in. Polsid are really going to back them up through the final corner onto the pit straight. The green flag waves, and that's a decent jump from Summit Sim Sports. He's really waited too long. What a pack, 3 wide, 2 deep. Hold my breath through turn 1. A bit of contact is inevitably made, but that checkup didn't really work to the favour of Dylan Burst, I don't feel, because Aaron Oliver now taking a look down the inside at turn 2.
Yeah, and Jack Boyd looming in the background with Angus Cook as well, Rihanna, sorry, and they're all going to have made it through turn 2. At least a little bit of contact between one of the Summit cars, Angus Cook, and Byron Phillips there on the way out of turn 3, but nevertheless, everybody survived by the looks of no major incidents, thankfully.
What a pack that was coming into turn 1. I had to hold my breath because they were 3 wide all the way through the field, but at the lead, huge dive at the hairpin from Aaron Oliver. Skates wide, Dylan Burst, classic over-under, gets the lead back. Now 3 wide for second place, and Aaron Oliver is just going to hold onto it. Rihanna and Boyd are side by side for third. Ambitious at the hairpin, but Dylan Burst absolutely saw that one coming.
Yeah, he certainly did very, very good heads-up driving from Burst to let Aaron Oliver run a little bit deep. Boyd gains position off Rihanna. Rihanna trying to come back at him, but there's going to be no gap there in the end for him. So Boyd going to move into the podium, but what's going to happen on behind in the MX5 class? It's all going off at the moment. Everybody's sorting themselves out a little bit scary. It's dropped a few positions by the looks of it, and a few have as well.
Yeah, the short cold tyres a factor for TCR. Oh, that is wide, wide, wide for Christopher Henn. Managed to get back onto the track, but he might have gotten a little bit of shove at the Sachs curve there. They're about to complete the first lap of this race. Henn's looking to get a spot back on Glenn Boyd. But you need to be well down the inside at turn 1 if you're going to make that move stick. It's not a huge braking zone. You want a good run through there. And down towards turn 2 and the key overtaking opportunity at the far hairpin.
Yeah, it'll almost be trying to set yourself up to make the move at the on-fart parabolica. So we'll see if anybody's going to try and set up a move out of turn 1 for turn 3. But hairpin is certainly going to be a passing opportunity with how close a few of the drivers are at the moment. No move's going to happen at turn 3 for the MX5s, but everybody's going to be setting themselves up for that run to the turn 6 hairpin. And it's looking like there's going to be a move made on Jackson Rihanna as the 2 Summit cars are going to be side by side on the way into the hairpin, and Angus Cook running a little bit deep. He got a little bit squirrely, and there's contact between himself and Byron Phillips, and then Cook is around.
Yep. And at a very difficult place. Has he got a handbrake that he can rip? Doesn't appear like he can. He's got to wait and wait and wait. And is there a damage for Christopher Henn? Is that front right sitting a little low? Sometimes we see a puncture result from contact. And yeah, that front right, I think it must be.
Yeah, it's a little
bit no
down,
good.
So that's not going to be too good in that rear end. Looks a little bit beaten up as well. So I'd say there's been contact somewhere in the last half a lap or so. We'll get a retro race school replay on dissect this one down at the hairpin, and was the hairpin where it all happened, and a little bit of a checkup going on. Glenn Boyd shuffling him out a little bit, and as a result, it's actually popped the tyre. So unfortunately, he's going to have to crawl back to pit lane, and he'll get his pit stop out of the way early, so he might be able to benefit a little bit if the safety car comes out where it does. But the big dive from Cook up the inside, and then Byron Phillips saw a little bit of opportunity. Unfortunately, contact was made.
Yeah, clumsy both from the Summit teammates and from Byron Phillips, looking for a gap that might not have eventuated. The only good news story here, though, for Christopher Henn is that he can probably get his pit stop out of the way now, and the safety car will bring him back into contention. Sure, at the rear of the field, it is not necessarily race done for Henny. Here's Adam Sharp with a good line through turn 1, and he's immediately trying to look down the inside. Track narrows here as well. How wide it is on the exit of turn 1, there's a bit of a bottleneck heading down here, and he's looking for another position on Sam Lehman. That's not going to eventuate, and it's going to really stall out his speed.
Yeah, it's almost like he's missed a gear there in the process as well. So he's going to have lost 3 positions. He's probably going to lose a 4th one as well to Sean Doyle on the way down towards the hairpin. His door is going to be tucked up right behind in his draft, and he's going to look to the inside. There he goes, and it's going to be setting up a move as the 2 ahead are also battling for position. Can be a little bit of change of position. Sean Doyle not quite going to make the move in the end though.
No, all this lets Caleb Hydes skip away to a 4.5 second lead over the rest of the MX5 pack. Dylan Burst now has a 2.5 at the TCR lead as Oliver and Jack Boyd going to have a bit of a fight, monstering some of the curbs through the arena here. Or the stadium. I think Mercedes is the arena and that's the stadium.
I think you're about right there. I'm pretty sure it is the case, but nevertheless, they've managed to not damage the car in the process. But Jack Boyd's looking very, very racy at the moment, wanting to get a little bit of a move on. He's going to look to the inside at turn 3 on Aaron Oliver, but what's Oliver going to do? He's going to try and hold it around the outside. Is he? No, he's not. He's just going to let Jack Boyd on through. So Boyd moves up into 2nd, but he might come the cross back on him from Aaron Oliver. As Oliver's got a very, very nice run out of turn 3 and 4, and he's going to have a nice run down towards the hairpin, tucked up right, and the draft pulls to the right-hand side of the circuit in the 2nd. No, he's not. He's actually going to sit in behind, and this is going to actually allow Rahana to have a look up the inside nearly.
Yeah, huge slipstream there. Huge closing under the brakes from Jackson Rahana, closing up on Oliver and Jack Boyd. Might have also let Byron Phillips catch him a little bit. No, I'm not sure about that. Quite as close. A couple other pit stops coming through. Sam Lehman is on the pit lane there. We also had Nick Skariev pit, as well as obviously Christopher Hanhatsu with his flat tyre.
He's going to have some nice clean air now that he's pitted, and going to be trying to reel everybody back in, depending on when the safety car happens. He might get in luck, he might not. We'll have to see how it all plays out. But Rahana getting very close to the back of Aaron Oliver. He's struggling a little bit through turn 11. Runs a little bit wide through turn 12 as well, but still managing to keep up a little bit with Jack Boyd here. He's trying to pull away, but also trying to catch up to Dylan Burst as well, as Boyd comes into the lane, and so does Oliver.
It really looked like Oliver just reacted there to what Jack Boyd was doing. Realised it. He's like, actually, I'm going to follow you, championship leader Jack. And Ivan Van Giato decides he likes that idea as well, and it's Boyd on the lane as Father Glenn Boyd follows in as well.
Ducking down onto the lane early to try and get their pit stops out of the way and possibly get a little bit of clean air as well, not give anybody an advantage of any kind. We'll see what's going to happen in the MX5s if anybody decides to come down onto the lane. A few decide to come down onto the lane. Adam Sharp, one of them, and we'll see where these two are going to end up slotting out in relation to each other once they come out. Very, very close together on the way into the lane as well.
And it is 50 kilometers an hour on the speed limit here. They're all really, really close as they came into the lane. They're close out on track for TCR. That's Byron Phillips ahead of, well, it has to be Lee Harrison because Ivan's running a different livery now. Was that in the attempt to bring him good luck? I'm not sure. That's exactly worked. But let's take a look. I think every joke we had to make, we made last week.
Yeah, I think we did. So we'll probably run out of jokes from that livery there. We'll have to see if it does provide any luck this week, but it's not looking too positive at this stage at least. But at the moment, the battle for third really going on. Phillips looking very, very racy at the moment, wanting to get on by Rahana, while Harrison's just sitting behind in the background waiting for something to happen as he looks to the inside. Does Byron Phillips, and that's contact between the two of them. They keep it straight, and they're still going at it.
Rahana wanted the pit lane. Byron Phillips hasn't let him. Now he's got damage. He's going to have to go the whole lap around, is he?
Think he will, yeah.
I'd park it in tow, right? Take the 30-second tow rather than try to limp that around, but... Ay.
It's that right front isn't exactly
At least it's not causing him, it's not dragging the wrong way. It's straight off the ground. He's just going to tricycle it around rather than have to. Oh dear. That's going to be horrible through the right-handers, though.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it's going to be terrible out of the corners as well, with the fact that it's front-wheel drive. So he's really going to struggle to get any sort of power down through a lot of this track.
So, MX5 leader is on the lane now. Caleb Hydes is followed by Lachlan Capel, and we've got some of the others who have pitted battling here. So where are they going to be once everyone else is pitted in their class?
It's going to be interesting to see where they all end up. Holmes and Paradiso in the lane as well. So pretty much everybody in the MX5s who didn't pit early on finally pitting it this time by, and that group that has pitted coming through the final sector. Now Hydes is away and he's pretty much out of the lane, so he's clear of that entire group. But where's Lehman going to come out in relation to everybody else? Capel is moving and he's going to end up getting out ahead of that group, but that group's going to end up jumping Anthony Connors and everybody else who came into the lane.
Well, this kind of speed comparison. Look at the cars who are up at pace. Lachlan Capel's not going to be able to stay in front of Sharp, but he is going to be able to jump in front of Brady Buchanan in the braking zone. So he pulls the band back together, I think. 5-car scrap there. Jackson Rehana, again, he's coming up to a left-hander. He needs to always bring it to a stop to get it to turn or through the left-handers.
He's wasted a lot of times having to stay out there instead of towing, with the fact that he's been out there that entire time, and he's going to lose a lap probably in the process, I think, and it's going to make for some interesting passing for some of the TCRs that are going to be coming on through. Burst, though, still going and hasn't pitted yet. We'll see when he's going to pit. Shouldn't be too far away, I don't think, but starting to get into that MX5 traffic as well, so we'll have to see if he's going to possibly react to the fact that he's got a large bunch of Mazdas just in front.
Skariev had to pit early. Melville is on his outlap, and they are having a bit of a scrap. And Byron Phillips says, I want that apex. And both of them seem to oblige him. Is Rehana, who finally got that thing around the pit lane, and Hayden Jackson, who was the only MX5 yet to pit. So we're left with the 4 leading TCRs of Burst, Phillips, McMillan, and McMillan yet to pit. Everyone else in race 1 has been through pit lane and taken their fuel.
Yeah, they haven't. Burst is Hyde, sorry, is actually back in the lane, so possibly speeding on the exit of the lane, and he's going to end up dropping back behind all of these guys.
These MX5s don't have a pit lane speed limiter, and it is just 50 kilometers an hour on this pit lane as the safety car gets called. That's bad news for Dylan Burst.
Yeah, it certainly is.
And Shane McMillan just entered pit lane. I think he was in pit entry when the safety car got called. Is he going to get stung for entering a closed pit? Just by the unluckiness of the timing?
Maybe. We'll have to see how close it actually was, because if he was across the line before it was called, then he might be okay, but if not, then he might be in trouble.
I think he was in pit entry, but then after the safety car had been called is when he crossed the start of the pit lane speed limit, what sort of denotes the pit entry. So I think it was too late for him to get out, but I wonder if there's any short grace period on that. It doesn't 40 seconds drop. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on what happens for him. But for the TCR cars that hadn't stopped yet, of Burst, Byron Phillips, and Matthew McMillan, yeah, they're going to end up not only at the back of the TCR field, but potentially back of the MX-5 field. We'll wait and see which MX-5s get waved around. But certainly I think this is good news for Jack Boyd, who's going to cycle through as the race leader. Aaron Oliver in second, and Lee Harrison then up into third. And interestingly, with that second pit stop for Hydes, Hayden Jackson is going to be your MX-5 leader from Sam Lehman and Adam Sharp. There's Byron Phillips.
Yeah, so I certainly have to keep an eye on how that MX-5 battle is going to end up panning out. You'd have to think that Hydes is going to manage to get back
my
through.
apologies. So here is our safety car, and all of the MX-5 pack getting waved around until we get to Dylan Burse, who's obviously not an MX-5.
And a couple of MX-5s in between the TCRs as well. So Anthony Connors and Scott Melvin, Scariev, Hydes, and Parody, and Holmes as well, all going to get waved by under this caution.
But the big question is, what are those trucks at the exit of the hairpin doing?
That's a very good question, actually. Flashing lights.
Dutiful safety crew, the ear protection. That's exactly what I wanted. Thank you, Jay. I think there's an ambulance. Do you have a shot of the ambulance?
Oh, there actually is the ambulance. Yes, we need a shot of that, Jay, because that looks amazing.
We've really put him on the spot as the safety car procedure continues to catch all of the TCRs and let the MX-5s get back around. Pit lane will be open this time for Burson Phillips and Matthew McMillan, I assume. Jay's got him.
There it is.
Hijack your camera. Now he's just got to find the focus ring. It's adequate. Still waving the yellow flag at the start-finish line. Still lights on top of the safety car. And I like to imagine, Cam, whenever people talk about the political influence of big oil, they are talking about that big bottle of oil on top of the pit lane, because that is big oil.
It certainly is big oil, and you can't miss it at all with how big it is. Also, that is a terrible shot. I must
Unless your
admit.
camera's on the wrong side of the start-finish gantry.
There we go.
There we go. We've got a bottle of Revinol Racing Sport Synthetic Oil, 0W20, full synth. There's some Americans who are wishing they had that to hoard their fuel in the last couple of weeks. And there comes Burse, Phillips, and McMillan for the pit lane to see Jack Boyd and Aaron Oliver cycle through as race leaders. This will be a pretty quick stop for these TCR guys. In a sane world, they'd get held at pit exit before the whole pack had come through, but I think they might actually... Well, we'll see where they end up. It's actually a slow pit lane here, though, compared to 80Ks for the pace car. It's only 50 on the lane plus their service time, so I think they'll end up at the back of the TCR field.
Yeah, they will, actually, because they've been given a black flag for entering the pit lane, well, passing the pace car as they've entered pit lane, so they're actually going to end up having to come back in under green to serve that black flag.
They did really, really race through, and you've got to almost stay level with the pace car through the pit entry until the safety car line, so it feels like they might not have done that. You'll keep across all the race control stuff, Cam, because I muted drivers in iRacing months ago, and it's really helped me.
I imagine it's very, very peaceful, and I'm not jealous
lovely.
at all.
Hayden Jackson's on the lane for another time as well. So he's no longer the MX-5 leader. It is now Sam Lehman from Adam Sharp from Sean Doyle.
An interesting strategy call there by Jackson to pit again under safety car.
Greg Holmes has to drive through his burnout cloud to find his pit crew. So what have we got for big movers then, now that we're reshaping the field in the final 10 minutes under the safety car?
Matthew McMillan, I'd say, is probably one of the bigger ones, having started 13th in TCR.
Where did professional Scott Dixon impersonator Scott Fountain start?
He's started 11th, so he's only gained one position at the moment. Oh, sorry, he's gained a little bit more than that, 4, I should say. Math wasn't my strong point of school, so I'll blame it on that.
Yeah, he had a long stop. Looking at the stop time, it was longer than almost everyone else, but obviously Jackson Rayhana, big damage. Dylan Burst, Matthew McMillan, Byron Phillips penalised for passing the pace car, etc. He's sort of in that in-between of everyone in front of him seems to have absolutely nailed their strategy, and everyone behind is having a pretty torrid day. He is just somewhere in the middle there, in 7th. Lights are off the safety car, though, and Jack Boyd is going to lead them to a restart with 8 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock at Hockenheim Ring. He doesn't wait like our pole sitter did. He stretches out the field onto the pit straight, takes us racing once again for 6 more laps to see the checkered flag of race 1.
Yeah, give me a few more, and him getting shuffled out on the exit.
Oh, Byron Phillips!
Byron Phillips getting into the wall.
Tagged on the way into turn 1 and absolutely sent into the concrete wall for Byron Phillips. That is huge damage, and hey, I'd be surprised if that motor makes it back around to the pit lane. A bit of a change of lane from one of the McMillans there, I think, who wasn't completely clear, and it's sent Byron Phillips to an unprotected bit of concrete barrier.
Not board from Matthew McMillan to see what's happened here. I want to say there was a little bit of rubbing going on before they even got to the corner, and then unfortunately it looks like Phillips has just sort of turned himself on him, really. Not really much McMillan could do there to react to him pulling in front of him that late.
So then for MX5, Lachlan Capel looking to move back up through the field. Caleb Hyde's in 6th in that class as well. So we've seen him make some big moves late in some races as well. Great place on that wall to stick a camera right as they immediately and flick right, and that exit curb gets so many because the track immediately drops away and wants to suck you into that runoff area. So many a qualifying lap get thrown away in that fashion. Here's Byron Phillips. Understandably, that car is looking sick.
Man, the insult, he's going to have that penalty add insult to injury as well that he's going to have to serve, so he's going to be in the pit lane for quite some time as well as a result. So he's going to end up going a lap down and ending up at the back of the TCR field, but move it done up the inside from Rayhana, although Fonte's going to hold it around the outside and take that one straight back off him. So very, very good bit of driving there by Fonte to get that move it done, but Rayhana's going to have a run on it the way through turn 6 and down to turn 6, I should say. And he's going to get that move it done as Rayhana looks to the inside on the way down to the hairpin. Cook thinks about it on Boyd, but doesn't quite make it happen in the end. Hen looking in there as well, but not quite close enough to take advantage, and Rayhana's going to take that one off Fonte in the end.
Oh, don't say that just yet.
Not yet.
You can hang around the outside, I think, in these cars. He got good exit on the outside of the corner. And then leads him into the arena. Down the inside once again, and this time Fonte runs himself a little bit wide. Now I would say that that is done, but he kept his elbows out for a good couple corners.
It's certainly made for him.
Oh no, what's
Oh no.
What's slow for Sean Doyle? Braking zone into the hairpin.
Oh, that's mighty deep. And I want to say that's damaged the left front or popped the tyre, I'd say, based on how slow he's going.
Seen some of this wheel-to-wheel contact get pretty brutal indeed. And that doesn't look like a car that wants to turn to the right either, though.
No. Stuck in first gear as well out of the hairpin, so you're not quite sure what's happened in that department, but certainly doesn't want to turn right at the following corner, so that left front tyre is a little bit worse for wear and Chad McMillan in the lane. Presumably for that penalty under safety car as well.
For the race lead, though, Jack Boyd had, at the restart, tried to get more than a second clear, tried to break the slipstream that is so powerful on that back straight parabolica towards the hairpin as we see them now, but has not quite been able to. Lee Harrison in that slipstream, Aaron Oliver, Vantagiato, and then Glenn Boyd, top 5 TCR at the moment. Hyde's up to 4th, just about 2 seconds off the lead in his class.
He's going to have 2 laps to try and get on by these MX-5s in front of him as well. So he's got a little bit of work to do to try and get back to that race lead. But you wouldn't think it would be too difficult with how strong the draft is in these things, and the fact that he's got all 3 of those drivers on the podium at the moment in front, not too far up the road from him as well.
Some great little battles across both of our classes. The only thing I can think of for Adam Sharp is that Mazda confirmed to NASCAR Cup Series. That kind of paint he's been running. Oh, confirmed to the gravel. That's what I'm talking about there. You just got to run a millimetre wide. Your outside tyres drop off the wrong side of the curb onto the slippery stuff and then out to the gravel, and he holds on to that.
He certainly holds on to that very well, and I think that's now mastered to the World Rally Championship as well, based on that skill of driving, because that was one heck of a save with how wide he got and how sideways he got as well. Very easy to have overcorrected and ended up in the wall, but he's going to not lost too much time to the front pack ahead, but he has lost time to Caleb Hydes, who's now not too far away from setting up a move, and the top 2 as well, looking to possibly start a little bit of a scrap as well in the next corner or so.
Now here is a bit of overlap between Jack Boyd and Lee Harrison. There was a bit of overlap between Oliver and Vantagiato in 3rd as well. See how much Lee Harrison's been able to close this up by getting to the slipstream.
All over the back bumper as well, as Lee Harrison nearly ended up making contact there on the way into the Mercedes arena, but luckily managed to pull it up. It's on for the lead in MX-5 between Lehman and also Capli, and up the inside it's going to go Adam Sharp, so those 2 are going to be drawing side by side out of the hairpin, and on the way down towards turn 7 and 8 we'll see who's going to come out on top in that little bout. And these 2 fighting is also going to help Hydes really catch up to the back of them as well. It's still going on for the lead of the race, and swap for position as well, as Harrison has moved himself into the lead of the race, and he's going to go defensive on the way down the front straight. White flag in the air as Barney's thrown himself a shoulder, and Jack Boyd's going to try the over and under, but not quite going to be able to do it. And Oliver's in this as well, and you can't count out Vantagiato, who's looking very, very good in 4th place at the moment.
Right, Lee Harrison's defense has made a real headache for everyone in the top 5 because it's backed them towards Oliver, towards Fantagiato, towards Glenn Boyd, and then someone is going to get deep on the brakes at the hairpin here on the final lap. You can just feel it. Harrison leading, trying not to give a slipstream to Jack Boyd. The short way around is at the left-hand side, though. Now he's going to defend into the hairpin. Jack Boyd crosses him over, throws it down the inside, but can't quite get there. Oliver and Fantagiato have a little bit of a coming together, and now, oh dear, tough for Aaron Oliver, and he's got a puncture, and it's worse than a puncture, that's suspension damage now, unfortunately for Aaron Oliver.
Yeah, the uprights that go after that contact, unfortunately, so he's going to have to limp it back to the lane. Rehana's going to send it up the inside of Dylan Burse, and Burse is going to try hold it around the outside, nearly shuffled off the road, but Burse is going to hold on to that one and take it off him. But Harrison is going to have Jack Boyd getting on by. They're going to draw side by side, but Jack Boyd's going to have that advantage in the end down towards the Sachs curve, and we'll see what's going to happen here. Is Harrison going to be able to launch one up the inside? No, he's not. He's going to try around the outside, set the run up for the final sector, but it's going to be very hard pressed to try and get a move done here. He's going to look to the inside, very aggressive, nearly contact between the two of them. He's going to try and hang it around the outside, but that's going to actually be a disadvantage as Fantagiato is right there, but not going to happen in the end. So it's going to be Jack Boyd who's going to win race one, followed by Lee Harrison and Fantagiato to round out the podium.
Oh, bonkers touring car stuff in TCR, but at MX5, Sam Lehman's got a slightly smaller, slightly slower repeat going on for his championship lead. His class lead here with Capel and Adam Sharp in the picture.
Oh no!
Rally cross again from Lehman. To the lead comes Adam Sharp as he gets past Capel as well. So this is a redress, I think, but it is not going to help Lehman hold on to the race lead, because suddenly Adam Sharp, his lucky day, he gets to the lead of MX5, and he's just got to bring it round 2 more corners to pick up a big bag of points and a race win. And also a good starting spot for the progressive grid for race 2. Here's Aaron Oliver trying to limp it home. Shades of Lightning McQueen in that 3-way tie for the Piston Cup.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't have been a happy chap. He was that left front with how bad it was hopping around and everything, but he's managed to finish the race at least and get some points. Scott Melvin and Hayne Jackson going to be rounding out the rest of the MX5 field, with also Philip Paradiso finishing ahead of Caleb Hydes, who had to pit again on that last lap, unfortunately, so he's ended up dropping to the tail end of the MX5 class.
Yeah, so let's run that over again. Jack Boyd, our winner. Great tussle with Lee Harrison on the final lap there. Ivan Fantagiato, third. Then Glenn Boyd. Dylan Burse working his way back up into 5th. And Jackson Rehana with a bit of damage to his contact with Aaron Oliver towards the end there. Scott Fountain in 7th. Angus Cook in 8th. Christopher Hent in 9th, and Matthew McMillan in 10th. The TCR field then rounded out by Aaron Oliver. Seeing some penalties come through at the end there at the finalisation of the results as well, potentially. And this is also how the grid is going to line up in for race 2 in our progressive grid. So then MX5 was Adam Sharp from Sam Lehman and Lachlan Capel, as those two came together late. Brady Buchanan, Anthony Connors, Scott Melville, Hayden Jackson, and Philip Paradiso. And that late pit stop for not Burse Hydes, it was. That was an interesting one.
Yeah, possibly underfield the car in the original stop and had to come back down onto the lane. He actually pitted 3 times in that race total, so not quite sure what ended up happening there, but Sean Doyle going to be the final finisher in the MX5 class with Phillips, Gary Evan, Holmes, all DNFs, unfortunately, in that race.
Well, race 2 is not far away. We are going to take a little break, hear from our Club Day Masters sponsors and supporters. Come back and we do it all again for race 2. Again, 30 minutes with a pit stop. That is not far away.
Hey everyone, the USF 2000 is a blast to drive now, and here's your chance to learn it quickly. From my tutorial, VRS created a free bonus track guide for the Laguna Seca circuit, where you can learn exactly what I do in every corner to improve your lap times and get faster on track. You'll learn how to easily recognise brake markers, you'll find out which curves to attack and which ones to avoid, you'll know when to use the full track and when a sequence of corners requires a compromise. And you'll learn how hard to brake and when to lift. The VRS Quick Reference track maps are available free to download and delivered each week to your inbox. The entire global MX-5 series is available, as well as bonus maps like this one and many more. So if you're a new racer, or a veteran, or just anyone who wants to learn how to get faster sooner, the VRS track guides are for you. Just hit the link or button on screen and get yours today.
And we're back at the Hockenheim ring, gearing up for race 2 of Club Day Masters. Today's adventures, specifically brought to you by Digital Marketing Tribe, today's presenting sponsor. And well, value for money on the excitement and carnage stakes at the end of race 1. Are we going to see anything different for race 2, do you imagine, Cam?
Oh, that's a very, very big question, and I think we can't really answer it until we see what's going to end up happening. But based on that race 1, it was absolute chaos, and it was very, very close finishing in the end as well. So we're going to be interested to see what happens, but it's certainly going to be very, very hard fought at the front of both classes.
Got to imagine with this redesign of Hockenheim ring, when they made that long straight into a wide braking zone into the hairpin, they circled it on the plans and wrote lobs, because that is what always happens there, especially on the last lap. You knew that our TCR field, someone was going to have a big go on the brakes, and they did, and went well for some, but unfortunately for Rehana and Aaron Oliver, ended up in a little bit of damage and a little bit of a tangle.
Yeah, certainly, and that won't have helped the championship in any sort of form either, with all those drivers losing precious points, especially Aaron Oliver, who's in the championship hunt as well, so won't be too happy with that at all, and he'll have to try and recover something in race 2, but he at least got points, so we'll see where that's going to leave him in the championship after tonight, but certainly will be a very, very big dent in that points.
No doubt. So, time for race 2. The grid will be as we ran down the results of race 1 not long ago, but with this formation lap rolling start, why not recap? Cam, do TCR.
On the front row, you're going to have Jack Boyd and Lee Harrison. Vanchiato is going to be starting in third alongside Glenn Boyd in fourth. Burst going to end up fifth with Rehana on row 3, and then you're going to have row 4 being Scott Fountain and Angus Cook, Christopher Henn and Matthew McMillan to round out the top 10, and then Aaron Oliver going to be your final TCR starting back in 11th.
So after his last lap triumph in race 1, Adam Sharp is going to start at the sharp end of the field in MX5 with Sam Lehman and Lachlan Cafel for company, and then Brady Buchanan, Anthony Connors, Scott Melville, and Hayden Jackson. Then we get some of the TCR cars that are actually mired a little deeper in the field here. Shannon McMillan, rest assured, is driving an Audi RS3, but he's off retirement from race 1. Sees him back here with Philip Paradiso, Caleb Hydes, Sean Doyle, 10th in MX5, and then Byron Phillips was obviously a retirement with that huge amount of damage that he had. We got Nick Scariev and Greg Holmes to round out our grid. They are rolling through the stadium. Jack Boyd is your pole sitter. I think he's going to go a little bit earlier than Dylan Burst did in race 1.
Yes, he probably will go early, and the green flag does come out quite early here, so he might get caught off guard, but I don't think he will, and we'll have to see what's going to happen. They kind of do have to wait for the safety car to get into the lane as well, so they can't go too early, but we'll see what Jack Boyd's going to do. Green flag is in the air, and Jack Boyd has got a very, very nice jump on Lee Harrison, and Vantagiato has got one on the rest of the field. 3 wide into turn 1 with Boyd, Burse, and Rayhana, and Rayhana's going to end up coming out the successor of that one, and Burse is going to gain a position on Glenn Boyd by the looks of it with the way it's going as well.
Yeah, a bit of heroics from Jackson Rayhana there, putting his car in the middle, 3 wide, into turn 1 on the first lap, and somehow he sneaks through to pick off 2 positions. So, big and aggressive move from him early on. In MX5 though here, look at Sam Lehman try to cross back on Adam Sharp. And Shannon McMillan is going to try to untangle and negotiate his way clear of the MX5 field. TCR leaders to the hairpin for the first time on cold tyres. Saw some action in race 1. In race 2, it's all a little more calm.
So far, so good for the start of race 2. No real contact going on at the hairpin this time around. Everybody's cleanly made it through, so far, so good. Up the inside it goes. Rayhana nearly on Vantagiato. Vantagiato actually goes deep as a result to try and avoid contact, so he's not going to be too happy with that one by the sounds of it. But Bursa is going to get a very, very nice run here on Rayhana as a result. It's on for the lead of the race as well. Just up ahead as Harrison's going to be side by side with Jack Boyd, but is going to have to back out of that one in the end, and Burst not quite going to be able to get that move done on Rayhana as well.
Oh, Adam Sharp from pole lost out big time. Here's Byron Phillips somehow just working his way back through the field. Interesting one there, but what has happened to Adam Sharp? Also want to maybe take a look at what happened to Angus Cook, and I wonder if they're related. Nope, it's before that. For Adam Sharp, his cars can be a little tail happy. The MX5 on cold tyres. You can see as he comes through the watchful view of the Mercedes. He's caught a bump on the inside there, hasn't he?
Yeah, it just looks like he's caught that at the wrong sort of moment. Possibly the curb has unsettled him a little bit too much as a result, but he's sending it up the inside of Cook, and that's contact between the two of them. He not quite manages to save it, does Angus Cook, and he's going to drop to the back of the TCR field as a result of that contact.
So back on the live pictures, battle resumes between Boyd and Harrison. Harrison following the slipstream to the hairpin. He isn't going to take a look down the inside. And Vantagiato is very, very brave, but hip and shoulder and door-to-door between Burst and Rayhana. Burst is going to come out in front on that one, but he did use his elbows just a little bit. Kind of having a look at returning serve, but it's not going to eventuate.
Not quite going to eventuate in the end, and Jack Boyd still holding on to the lead of the race. Vantagiato still holding it third, but Burst has managed to find his way on it by Rayhana, so he now sits in fourth. And Lemmy in the background is everybody else trying to keep up and catch up as well. And that top three is starting to form a little bit of a breakaway as well. Anthony Connors at the moment in the MX5 doing battle with Hayden Jackson, and Jackson's going to send it up the inside and take that one off. And running a little bit wide was Jackson, but managed to hold on to the position in the end. Very, very compact as well, just further ahead. Lehman with a little bit of a lead over the rest of that MX5 field, but Hyde's looming in the background and complete. Capel and Buchanan not letting him get away at all.
Yeah, indeed. Hyde has a good run there on Buchanan. Buchanan's let him have that one. Sensible, I think, from Buchanan. Race lead has Lee Harrison down the inside of Jack Boyd at the hairpin. It causes a huge check-up for Vantagiato and Burst and Jackson Rayhana, and they remain side by side. towards the quick right-hand flick. I think they can stay side by side there, but Jack Boyd is in the prime location to then have the inside. Vantagiato, super defensive. Burst trying to get down the inside of him. Sees Raihana try to get around both of them, but it doesn't happen. It's real aggressive this early on. Are we going to see anyone pit early like they did in race 1?
You'd have to think we will, and you'd have to think that the likes of Burst and that won't make the same mistake twice in the same night. But we'll see what's going to happen. Cable, and also Hyde's sending it up the inside of Lehman at the hairpin, and Hyde's going to get 2 for 1 there with a very, very nice move. And Lehman going to manage to hold it around the outside of Capel as well and keep that position.
Some quality racing early, but still with some pit stops and a safety car to come in this final race of the evening. Not sensing a lot of respect for track limits on the exit of turn 1, but a lot safer to do that than to clip the curb on the inside of turn 1. Again, a bit of maybe a late defense out of Vantagiato against Dylan Burst, but I'm not sure the value of defending too much there when the real attack starts to happen along Parabolica and the big braking zone in at the hairpin. Middle of the road, Vantagiato, not much happening at the front. Burst skating it in on the rears around the outside, tries to cross underneath Vantagiato, but nothing happening there just yet.
And certainly nothing quite happening there, but Vantagiato under lots of pressures. Burst is going to send it up the inside of Vantagiato, up over the curb, and it's not quite going to end the way that Burst will have hoped, and he's going to have to sit in behind again after using plenty of curb there. Raihana's going to be all over the back of him now as a result of that. Looks to the inside, but not going to make a move this time.
Great news for our top two as it lets them get away all off the road and now back on it for Dylan Burst.
Yeah, certainly. Meanwhile, in the MX5 class, it's still going on, and even for the minor positions between Doyle and Sharp, they're very, very close together. We'll see whether they can manage to catch up to that pack ahead, who are very, very compacted at the moment, and Buchanan and Capel and Lehman all very much doing battle at the moment. A number of TCR drivers coming down onto the lane, Boyd and a few others by the looks of it, to get their service out of the way as early as possible to avoid the safety car. And Hayden Jackson now in on this battle as well with the likes of Capel, Buchanan and Lehman.
I think no one wants to get caught out with the safety car like happened to a few in race 1. So I wonder if any of our MX5 drivers are going to follow a similar vein. Lehman will, Buchanan will, but it looks like Capel and Jackson are going to continue, as is quite a lot of the rest of the field. In MX5, looks like maybe just the 2 pit callers.
And not too many calls down to the lane at this time around in the MX5 field, so we'll see how this is all going to pan out for those guys. But in the TCR field, few shuffle ups as a result of it, that pit stop cycle, and Burst now coming under pressure from Jackson at Raihana, and they're not too far away from it. Lee Harrison as well, who's trying to get a little bit of an overcut on Jack Boyd. We'll see where they're all going to come out in relation. You have to think that they're going to react to what the likes of Boyd and that have done in that last lap or so. We'll have to see what they're going to do this time around.
Lap times of almost 2 minutes here, so if you don't react now, you leave yourself very, very vulnerable. So Lee Harrison in, Jackson Raihana in, Dylan Burst staying out again.
Christopher Hen and also Fonte coming down onto the lane, as well as Shannon McMillan. So interesting strategy call by Burst to stay out again. And we'll see what's going to happen here in this race as to whether he ends up getting caught out by the safety car again. But you'd have to think that he won't make the same mistake twice.
I would have thought once bitten, twice shy would have applied in this situation, but it doesn't seem to for Burse or Matthew McMillan or Byron Phillips.
Jack Boyd sails on by. Vacciato actually sails on by as well past Rehana, so it's going to pretty much remain the same top three. No real change in the order, although Glenn Boyd's going to have his hands full with Fonty, though. He's going to sweep it around at the outside.
Yeah, both these fellas have made their pit stop, and they're going to hope to be in the slipstream of Aaron Oliver, or at least that's one thing that might potentially save the bacon for Fonty.
Yes, Boyd's looking up the inside of Fonty. He's going to get the move done by the looks of it. And yes, he is. And Cook's possibly even going to get this one as well if he can get enough of a run into the next corner. Well, it doesn't quite look like he's possibly going to be close enough this time around. At least they're going to be side by side again. And Fonty's going to get the position straight back. Or is he's run very deep into the Mercedes arena and he's going to lose both positions as a result of that.
Yeah, sure is easily done there. You're still almost turning to the right as you come into that braking zone, and he has sailed past his braking marker and given up a couple freebies.
Burst in the lane now.
Yeah, I was going to say that Dylan Burst has come in, so he's not going to get caught the wrong side of the safety car this time. I think McMillan's going to stay out, but Byron Phillips is going to come in. So then you've just got Hayden Jackson and Lachlan Capel at the lead of MX5, yet to pit and potentially in the danger zone of being wrong-footed and embarrassed by Barney waving the yellow. And how good does he wave it as well? He should give Serena Williams some lessons.
He'd certainly be able to hit a tennis ball very, very well, I'd say, with the amount of shoulder strength he's got in his top half of his body.
I think Barney's at risk of getting tennis elbow.
Depends on how much he works out. Although, then again, he does a lot of flag waving, so you'd have to think that he wouldn't.
He's always wearing a fire suit. He could be ripped. He could have the biggest abs ever under there, and you just wouldn't know. He's a real humble guy. We've got Jackson and Capel on the lane, by the way. So that means only Matthew McMillan is yet to pit at this point. There is Mr. Barney. Find him on Twitter. And now he's got a job to do. Right into action. We didn't even see him holding that yellow flag. We blink and he's... I'm just going to confirm for this that Barney is a Doctor Who Time Lord, right? Because, well, he looks different at different tracks and different times, but it's all still Barney, and he's clearly a time traveler there because he's managed to pull that yellow flag out of nowhere. And the only person who's going to be embarrassed by this safety car is Matthew McMillan. For Jack Boyd, he's going to end up at the lead. Orange is a dashing colour for Barney's friend up on the flag stand. He's just making sure everyone does 50 kilometres an hour in the pit lane. And he's making sure that no one comes in right now when pit entry is closed. So eventually, the safety car is going to catch Matthew McMillan. Here it is. And then we'll see him need to pit eventually, which will see the lead go to Jack Boyd, Dylan Burst in second, and Lee Harrison in third. For MX5, Caleb Hydes has his lead evaporate. He'll have Brady Buchanan and Hayden Jackson right behind him.
MX5 class going to compact a little bit, although Hyde's in a much better position than he was in race 1 when the safety car came out. He'll be leading this class by what you'd have to presume will be a nice little margin once they get back to green flag racing, although we'll have to see what's going to happen with that draft and everything and how that plays out. casual observation, but that's not a normal pit time, I would think, based on the fact that it was a 1 minute long. I'd say there's probably been a penalty handed out for Sam Lehman and the man we saw on screen just previously.
Oh, look at Caleb Hyde dragging it behind the safety car. Yeah, extra 40 seconds or so it would look like. Is that speeding on the pit entries? Barney's friend in orange been very fastidious with the radar gun.
I'd say it probably has been based on that time, so it's usually a 40-second penalty as well when you speed it into the lane. So they've been dished out the naughty boy flag, and as a result they've been having to sit in the pit lane for a little bit longer than they normally would, although the safety car is going to help them by quite a lot as a result.
Indeed. So, big winners. Dylan Burst is going to be +3 when this all cycles through. Christopher Hen's going to be +3. Aaron Oliver's going to be +4 positions. Caleb Hydes is presently +7. After a pretty rubbish first race, Nick Skariev is now sitting mid-pack in MX5, so he's +4 positions so far in this race. Pit entry will be open this time. Is Matthew McMillan from the lead going to go for it? Absolutely he is. Is he going to not pass the pace car before the safety car line? We wait and see. Who's that going for another stop?
Who was that? Trying to find out real quick. Not entirely sure. I think it was a faked pit lane, actually.
Why? Here's Matthew McMillan cruising forward. Here's pit box. And there's Barney's other orange wearing cousins at the pit exit to check your speed there as well. So you can't get away with anything here at the Hockenheim ring. Byron Phillips is having a bit of a g'day with Caleb Hydes at the minute. The minute I say that, they stop running side by side. Lights are off the pace car. Does that mean that lights are off the ambulance as well?
Yes, I believe so.
They're off the recovery truck. Shay's going to pick up the ambulance down there. It's the same Mercedes-Benz Sprinter as they have got at Monza. There's also a handily positioned trackside ambulance.
I guess being in Europe, does make sense being the same ambulance. And the track's in Germany as well, this one. So you kind of can't not have a German brand ambulance as well.
What in the world?
Reshuffling in the X5s by the looks of it. Not quite sure what's been going on there. Looks like it's rush hour traffic in downtown Sydney or Auckland. I think there's been a little bit of confusion with the fact that some people have had to be let by the looks of it. So the MX5s have all sorted themselves out.
It made me a little confused on that one, but it sees Nick Skariev go to 4th. Which is interesting. We are through the final sector of the lap. Jack Boyd has done many a restart from a safety car before. He has Burst and Lee Harrison immediately behind him. As far as no, Nick Skariev is back to 5th with Sean Doyle in 4th. Okay, but it looks like it will be Caleb Hydes to lead that class, and Buchanan, and then Anthony Connors For some reason, the safety car into pit entry, Jack Boyd making him wait and making him wait. And now he goes. Vantiggiato's under a lot of pressure, though, on this restart. He has Reihana looking around the outside of turn 1 and looking around the outside of turn 1 and looking through the runoff of turn 1. They will continue.
Yeah, and Reihana's going to try his best to try and get this one done on Vantiggiato, but not quite going to be able to get it done in the end. And Hen's going to be right there or thereabouts. And there's contact in behind as well. And I think that was involving Shannon McMillan, Byron Phillips, and also Scott Fountain. I think they've all got away scot-free by the looks of it, but the MX-5's all duking it out further behind as well. Imp Sharp and a few others back there as TCR's head into the hairpin, and a few trying to get some moves done, but so far so clean. Oh, that's not quite a gap though that you're trying to fit into. There's Reihana is trying to get around the outside but doesn't quite manage to do it in the end across the curb though. He's going to look to the inside at the following corner at the Mercedes Arena. They're going to go side by side and up and over the curb contact, and they've managed to straighten each other out and carried on.
Sorry, Hannah does grab that 4th position. I smelt that coming. A bit of a favour returned. Now Christopher Henn is next in line, but he washes horribly wide, and Aaron Oliver might have a run at him. Meanwhile, the top 3, Boyd, Burst, and Harrison get away. Aaron Oliver, aggressive as you like, and then escorting Christopher Henn off the track like happened to him in race 1 in the same corner.
Yeah, and he's had a puncture as well by the looks of it as he's off the road, as Christopher Henn, and that left front is well and truly broken by the looks of it, unfortunately, so he's going to have to bring it down to the lane again.
It doesn't even want to take pit entry for Christopher Henn. He's going to be scuffing that set of rims again as well.
Yeah, the paint shop certainly won't like him with the fact that that's going to be probably some very expensive paint with it being chrome, but the MX-5's at the moment complete, and I believe that is Lehman currently back duking it out for the final spots in the class. And you got Hayden Jackson as well just up the road with Adam Sharp. Sharp looks to the inside of Jackson at turn 3 and not going to get that move done there.
They shan't, but that's a hell of a run onto the back straight.
It was going to be the bravest on the brakes though. We'll have to see what's going to happen. They draw equal and Jackson slightly more deep on the brakes, but Sharp's going to take that one off. A little bit of contact on the exit of the corner as well between the two of them as Jackson gives Sharp a little bit of hurry up.
And from very back of the field on this restart, Adam Sharp is up into 6th. Sam Lehman hasn't been able to make quite the same progress. Hayden Jackson, down the inside, all out of control, and holds on to it. Adam Sharp is going to... and then he finds the same bump that gave him grief in race 1. Sam Lehman's got a huge head of steam on these guys, and then ends up with nowhere to go with all that momentum of contact.
I think that was going to be happening either way. Unfortunately, Melville, no real cause of that. Couldn't really do anything to avoid it either. So unfortunately, Sharp's going to end up left spinning and sent into the gravel, unfortunately. But this top 3 in TCR at the moment, nose to tail, and very, very close at the moment with Burst trying to hunt down Boyd with Harrison right on his tail.
Not wrong, nothing to separate our top 3. Here's a look from Burst down the inside that doesn't have enough overlap, so all that's going to do is compromise his exit relative to Boyd and relative to Lee Harrison. It seems like, turn 3, turn 6 are the best overtaking opportunities, but some of them will get really optimistic here. in the Mercedes section. That's where we've had a couple of drivers try to pop a surprise.
Yeah, certainly been quite a few moves made at the arena in this race and the previous race as well for various positions throughout the field, but this top three still in lockstep at the moment. Burst still trailing Jack Boyd as Harrison looked up the inside with the fact that Burst ran a little bit wide and opened the door, but it's going to hold on to second position for the time being as Burst and try to continue to hunt down Jack Boyd, and they've certainly made a breakaway from the rest of that field as well, have those top three.
Yeah, Rayhana and Vantagiato getting into each other, maybe scuffing up their cars, hasn't helped them keep touch with the top three. Burst could be under pressure again here. A little defensive, and Harrison's thinking about the hairpin already.
Yeah, certainly is thinking about trying a move at the hairpin. No point lobbing one up the inside at turn 2, only to lose it down through turn 5. Turn 5 straight or corner or whatever you want to call it, but nevertheless, he's going to look to the inside on the way down towards turn 6, moves to the outside, and Burst is going to send it up the inside of Boyd. He's going to let him on by. Harrison's going to sneak up the inside, contact between the two of them, and Harrison going to be left to slot in behind. Lucky no damage for any of those drivers, but that could have been so much worse.
Yeah, Boyd was trying to cut back underneath, same time Lee Harrison was. That left Harrison out of room. Now Boyd looking back for the lead on Burst. Doesn't work. He is all at his bumper, giving him all sorts of pressure, and it has let Jackson and Rayhana, I think, catch the top three here.
Yeah, they certainly could catch the top three if they keep fighting as hard as they have been over the last lap or so. And could be on for a possible podium or even a win if the heavens open on him. We'll have to see what's going to happen, but Lee Harrison is looking like he wants to find a way on by Jack Boyd or Dylan Burst or whoever may be in second when the overtake is going to happen. I'd say he's going to set up a move on Jack Boyd in this next lap or so, but we'll have to see what's going to happen as Burst is starting to build a little bit of a gap here.
Yeah, certainly that's something to think about for Boyd and Harrison is with 2 laps to go. Are they going to let Dylan Burst run away with this one? Harrison and Boyd patient in the early sector. Rayhana has closed huge time on them as well. And now, as they accelerate down the long straight, get up towards 5th gear and 6th gear, and that's where the slipstream becomes super, super powerful. Fate of this rests in Harrison's hands. Is he going to let Boyd try to catch Burst, or is he going to try to go for second? He's just going to decide against it. Rayhana really bombs himself on the brakes and into contention.
Yes, on one in the background spinning around, that was Angus Cook, I think, by the looks of it, unfortunately making contact with someone. He's been sent around. Aaron Oliver and all them were involved as well, so there's been a little bit of chaos going on at the hairpin with a number of them.
Yeah, Phillips, Oliver, and Glenn Boyd went 3 wide into the hairpin, and Angus Cook got turned once, turned twice.
Unfortunately stuck on the nose of Aaron Oliver and couldn't really do anything about that second one, but we'll see from the view behind what happened with the first one. Oliver went defensive. Boyd was trying to go around the outside. Phillips saw an opportunity, dived it in, and unfortunately made contact with Oliver there, and Oliver just not able to do anything, and unfortunately ended up using Cook as a little bit of a brake pad, unfortunately, and that's come off second best has Angus Cook, so he's not going to be too happy about tonight's race. But white flag is in the air for the leaders, and Lee Harrison now still all over the back of Jack Boyd, and Rayhana has indeed joined the party.
0.8 of a second for Dylan Burst. Is that something he can hold on to for one more lap to grab a win in Club Day Masters? Jack Boyd, I think, having taken the win in race 1, really just like to hold on to bag of points. battling for the podium in MX5. You've got Sean Doyle trying to hold off Anthony Connors. Some looks, but no change at the hairpin for our top four. Burst stays in the lead, Boyd stays in second, and Harrison in third ahead of Rehana.
No change by the looks of it. P2 in TCR, and I don't think there's going to be a move happening either, but we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen in this final few corners. It's going to be a very, very late lunge. If there's going to be a move done by Lee Harrison, he's not going to look to the inside at turn 12. And so he's going to run out of opportunities. Unfortunately, here is Lee Harrison, so he might just have to settle for 30. Nearly had a look on the way into turn 15 and turn 16, but not quite going to be able to happen in the end. And Dylan Burst is going to end up winning race 2 with Jack Boyd second. Lee Harrison tried to get the run, but he's going to end up coming home at third. Rehana is going to be fourth, and Macchiato rounds out the top 5.
Yep, your leader in MX5 field, Caleb Hyde's got a lot of space all to himself. Brady Buchanan and then Sean Doyle on the replay here. This is the action around third, fourth, and fifth, and it just didn't go well for Anthony Connors. Sean Doyle is running around in third with Skariev in fourth.
Yeah, I almost would have said that he was trying to do the old track in reverse, but unfortunately, that's not where the track goes. So he's gone a little bit too deep there into the hairpin, and as a result, had to really pull it up and do a 180. But coming through the final corner now is the MX5 winner for race 2, and Caleb Hyde's going to take a nice handful of points to round out the night. Sean Doyle is going to be coming home in third. Brady Buchanan is going to bring it home in second, and Skariev going to just hold on to fourth from Greg Holmes.
Yeah, indeed. Win it or bin it for that podium spot for Anthony Connors. He couldn't get past Sean Doyle, and he ended up in fifth. Adam Sharp leads a trio home of Scott Melville and Philip Paradiso. Last car out on track looking for Barney's checkered flag. It's Hayden Jackson. Now Barney holds it. This is Brian Phillips coming to the checkered flag. Sorry, Dylan Burst coming to the checkered flag. Barney holds the checkered flag with one hand and waves it, whereas Serena Williams is really has that sort of backhand, two-handed grip. So I think the secret to a good checkered flag waving is follow Barney's technique.
Yeah, certainly he's got that technique down pat. Probably using a little bit less muscle than using two arms as well. So probably is pretty efficient, I'd say.
Barney is peak performance. He is an optimized flagman of the future. But Dylan Burst is our race 2 winner from Jack Boyd. Makes it 2 podiums from 2 races. And Lee Harrison, likewise, a second and a third for today. Jackson Rehana, 4th in this race. Then Vantagiato, Glenn Boyd, Byron Phillips, Fonte in 8th, leading Shannon McMillan. And then Aaron Oliver in 10th. Bit of a round to forget for him, honestly. We've seen him perform stronger than that and not end up in so many tangles. And then it's Angus Cook, Matthew McMillan. Christopher Henn was a TCR retirement.
And you're going to go through to the MX5. Caleb Hyde takes out the race victory by a very, very nice margin of 6 seconds, followed up by Brady Buchanan, and then Sean Doyle to round out the MX5 at podium. Skariev 4th, Anthony Connors 5th, Complete 6th, 7th Lehman, 8th Adam Sharp, Scott Melvin, and Philip Paradiso round out the top 10 in the MX-5s, and then Hayden Jackson to round out the finishes in the MX-5 with Greg Holmes at 1 lap down.
Indeed, that's our 2 races in Club Day Masters today. Let's then have a look and a roam through the paddock area, Cam, because I think there's 1 or 2 drivers worth having a word to, some of our race winners.
Yeah, there certainly is. I think currently the only person is TCR winner, so we'll stand by, and you're standing by with Dylan Burris.
Yeah, no doubt. Congratulations on that race 2 win there. Had the speed to race away from everyone else. But tell us about race 1.
Race 1 was a bit of a geezer, eh? I mean, I ended up getting out in front pretty good. Had about a 6-second gap. And then the safety car came, and I haven't done a pit stop. So that may or may not have just ruined my chances at a podium or a win. So, oh well. Happens here and there. Learned in the second race to pit a bit earlier.
Come away with the fastest lap of the race in the second race as well. So the speed is there. What are we then going to see you do differently in future?
Oh, not much, I don't think. Just pit a bit earlier, I guess. And yeah, be more consistent. Try not to get into bust ups and stuff.
Words to live by. What about Hockenheim Ring then? Obviously, huge slipstream in these cars towards the far hairpin. We saw some aggressive moves, must be said, happen down there. What was your thoughts for this track as a whole, and where the action zones are at?
I mean, every corner's a passing opportunity when you think of it that way. There's just some that you can pass a bit better than others, and I don't know, some people passed wherever they wanted, which didn't end too well, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, it's a good track to race at, especially in this car, although knowing the TCR, it can be a bit of a sunflower harvester here and there.
Doesn't always go where you ask it to go. That's front wheel drive racing. Congratulations on your big move through the field in race 2 to collect a victory.
Yeah, cheers for that.
Cam, what about someone from MX5?
I think we'll grab Brady Buchanan next. The podium in a 4th place in race 1. Too bad of a night for you.
Yeah, better than expected. Just literally jumped in the car for the first time in qualifying, and away we went. Started off P3, I think, and had an alright first race. And then after the safety car in the second race was yeah, I don't know, just a smooth sail to the finish, I think.
Yeah, obviously Hockenheim, reasonably new track, and saw a lot of overtaking at various different corners, especially the hairpin, and drafting the MX-5 was really aiding to being able to get passes done. Did you find it was a matter of just trying to work together with everybody and set passes up for the hairpin, or did you find that it was just more or less trying to pass where you possibly could throughout the races?
Well, I don't reckon I actually passed that much. I think I passed about 2 or 3 times, and the rest was just all in pits and safety car and all that sort of stuff. So it was lucky for me, but yeah, I just sat behind them and sort of chilled out, watched everyone else crash, and then take advantage of that.
Well, with only a few rounds to go in the season, you shouldn't be too bad in points, but nevertheless, looking forward to the rest of the season. Yeah,
definitely. Can't wait for the next race.
Well, before we let you go, just shout outs and thanks. Who gets it done for you?
What'd you say? Shout outs and
yeah, shout outs and thanks.
I don't know, mum and dad, and that's about all. For watching every race, and then Hayden for being sitting right next to me while racing. Been a good season so far.
There you have it, short and sweet from the podium finisher in MX-5. I think we will. Who else do we have to talk to? I think we'll grab Caleb Hydes, who you were standing by with, David.
Yeah, exactly. An up and down one for a lot of people today at the Hockenheim Ring. We saw Burst go from 5th in race 1 to a win in race 2, but I think even more impressive for you, Mr. Caleb Hydes, race 1. What happened there?
Lots of things, David. So, first started off, I thought the pit lane was 60 kilometers. Turns out it was 50, and copped a 15-second hold for that. So, yeah, that was fine. I thought, all right, we'll just try and come from the back and get up to the front. And again, had about 15 minutes left in the race after the safety car. And then saw my fuel, and I was half a litre short, so had to come in on the last lap and get that fueled up. So yeah, was running in 4th, but I was fuel saving so much and I wouldn't have made it around. So thought pit and just be safe, and came away with the 9th place.
Then moving up through the field in race 2 in the progressive grid, how was... I mean, I think that's what you dream of as a racer, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Race 2 tonight was probably the best race we've had this season, one of the best, I'd say. So I was able to pick my moves early on. Before the safety car, I was up into the lead, so that was good. Made my pit stop and came out in front of that. And then able to just pull away once the safety car came in, and got about a 5-second lead to come to the checkered flag, so it was good and a lot of fun.
Thoughts about the championship? Because, I mean, just podiums from here on out would bring it home, but a race like race 1 doesn't help your cause as championship leader.
Yeah, that's right. But I had a look at the results, and Sean, who is in P2 in the championship, happened to finish P10 behind me in race 1. So I got a bit lucky with that. We both had shocker race 1s, and then in the feature race, we both did pretty well. So I guess the gap should basically stay the same. It depends on how much points P3 and P4 have. I haven't really taken notice of that. But yeah, 3 races left in the season. Obviously, one of them is Spa and Enduro, and that'll be really tough with big draft track and 2 safety cars, and then twin ring next week, I believe. So yeah, 2 challenges ahead, and gonna try and win all 3 races, but you know, just need to do the best job I can and hopefully get some wins.
We'll mock you relentlessly if you don't. Well, good work today then in race 2, getting that strategy, putting enough fuel in, obeying the speed limits, keeping the points on your license, and grabbing a victory in Club Day Masters.
Cheers, thank you.
I think that'll about do it from the Hockenheim ring, and as you heard, Twin Ring Motegi in Japan next week. Always an interesting little track, lots goes on there. Not everyone's favourite, but I happen to think it goes all right. So yeah, we'll see everyone there, won't we?
Yeah, we certainly will. Very, very underrated track, and one that does produce reasonably good racing from time to time. So we'll see what happens there and what we're going to see in terms of action and who's going to end up with what sort of points.
So from myself, David Haynes, Cam Dance alongside me, Jay Kennedy, our producer. That is all for tonight on Club Day Masters. Wherever you've been watching across Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, etc., make sure you follow us so you are up to date and you can see us next week at Twin Ring Motegi. See you there.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?